Alright, Panther Lair, I'm going to be breaking down some more defensive sequences and possessions here for you guys. If you have been reading my breakdowns after each game, first, I want to thank you guys for doing that, supporting all of my content, and honestly, it gives me a lot more motivation to provide these voice overlays in my breakdown. But secondly, you know that if you've been reading them, that after the game against the Citadel Bulldogs, I broke down why I thought stunt and recovery would be a better form of rotation and recovery when the ball gets kicked out over full rotation, just based on that game. After the game against the UNC Wilmington Seahawks, I broke down how I thought stunt and recovery did really good. So I think, hey, it worked out. It looked like this is something they were doing well at as opposed to struggling in full rotation. So they were going to probably use that going forward, and they did a really good job of that in this game. So or in that game. So against the game against the Towson Tigers, they actually go back to full rotation. So I wanted to take a look at that because I do think that it's something they definitely improved upon over the course of the season now at 4 games. So let's take a look at some of those possessions. So here you're going to see that at any time the ball that gets driven into the paint, it's going to cause rotation and recovery. Now, Dan Aladapo, I think, has been a pretty good player for Pitt, as a PJ Tucker guy, but he has not really shown the ability to defend or necessarily play on the wing as much as he's just been very solid around the basket, somewhat of a good connector, etc., etc. So some stuff's going to come on Dan Aladapo in the future, so I don't want to go into too much detail here, but he's going to get beat off the dribble here by Cam Holden down towards the baseline. Now, he does do a good job of getting back in front, but it's going to force Will Jeffress here to help. And when that help comes, now Pitt gets into rotation. So Femi is already the closest defender. So he's going to close out here. But the sign of the full rotation is Hughley's going to hold on to his guy. But the next closest defender here that's recognizing this is going to be Will Jeffress. So he is going to sprint out here to contest. Santos is going to kind of hold here to his man, and you're going to see the results of full rotation. So Jeffress, very good individual defender, going to ultimately force a really deep contested three-pointer. Going to be something similar on this possession as well. The ball is going to be driven off of this dribble handoff here. That's going to force Femi to step over. Of course, the ball is going to get kicked out down here, so we are going to get into full rotation. So Jamarius Burton, as this exchange kind of occurs here, he'll be the next close defender. He's going to sprint down. Dan Aladapo is going to sprint up. Ball gets it down. Jamarius, Oladapo, and then again, a contested three-pointer, and Hughley gets the rebound. Now, in this last sequence, I want to highlight that even when the rotation is done pretty well, that the recovery portion, the discipline, all of that is very important. So you're going to see Jamarius Burton lose the point of attack here. That's going to force a kick out, and then he actually kind of gets a little bit too ahead of himself in the recovery, leaves his feet, and we'll see that here. So loses the point of attack, ball gets kicked out. Moji does a good job here. Next goes the defender. He closes out. But Burton's going to close out with like a lot of urgency, leave his feet around here. And Cam Holden was pump faking people all night. And as a guy that's really not a good three-point shooter, I'm not really sure that this was the most disciplined move. And Cam Holden ends up getting fouled here. I do think, though, again, that the Pittsburgh Panthers did a pretty nice job. So all of that said, Pittsburgh Panthers, really nice job here of full rotation. They were much more disciplined and decisive in their recoveries and their rotations. Any healthy team, whether it's offense, defense, can throw multiple looks at you, right? So the Pittsburgh Panthers being able to use stunt and recovery and full rotation and potentially mix and match those within a game is going to make them a little bit harder to scheme for. Honestly, that's not something teams are looking at like, oh yeah, they're always going to stunt you, but you never know. So I think, again, really good job by the Pittsburgh Panthers. I do expect now, seeing this here, maybe a more mixed dose of stunt and recovery and full rotation over the course of the season. And guys, I'll definitely be looking out for this type of stuff to give it to you guys in these breakdowns.